two more games coming at you later on today. We've got Obey versus Burrito immediately next, and then Valen Squad versus Rival. Obey versus Burrito, I think the writing is on the wall here. What's your take on this?
I used to be on Team Burrito. I used to say, Burrito's the new Rival.
I was with you on that as well. There was something going on there where you saw like five guys. Yeah, I mean, you had Johnny.
It was Johnny.
But you saw five guys that were kind of steadily improving and doing it, and Johnny was just always
hard carrying those games.
Yeah, exactly. But what happened here?
During relegations, Johnny had those gods, and he was obviously that's worst talent, not to be rude.
Sure.
But it's, you see Johnny get these hard carries. He's on the Kuang, and he's getting like quadra kills underneath the tier 1. But now that they're able to do it, everybody has these kind of counters for things that Burrito just figured out. Like Burrito kind of just said, hey, what if we give our jungler Kuang and then we get to late game? But then the other EU SPL teams are like, what if you never get to late game? And Burrito's like, we're sorry.
Yeah. Oh well. And see, like I said, they were kind of like on the up and up and just one step behind. And unfortunately, that finally caught up to them. They were able to just sort of be the worst rated team, but now they're just getting destroyed. The loss of their mid laner.
Yeah.
How big of a deal?
Apparently a very big deal. I didn't think that Death Panther, especially because he was so bad on Sanguine. I mean, granted, everybody on Sanguine was bad, especially Get Fisher. Yeah. But the big issue with Sanguine, like, he was a support on a bad team, so he gets that worst KDA. You look at his stats, and you're like, why would you pick this guy up? But then you see him in middle lane, and he's, like, kind of killing it. Like, elevates a better team now, it looks like, I guess. But Death Panther is hitting those abilities, and FaraKrik is, like, kind of falling behind. Like, he doesn't seem like he has the synergy that they had, especially in relegations.
Obey Alliance here, I mean, this has to be a 2-0 for them.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of these high-end teams struggle against lower-end teams. Obey up against Burrito. Any chance Burrito sneaks a win here or a split or at all?
I think that these have the potential to go longer than we expect. I don't think these are going to be like a Mighty Storm 20-minute surrender kind of games.
Okay.
But I mean, Obey 2-0. That's kind of the prediction here.
Sure.
With the next set, though, I'm really, really excited for that.
Yeah, Rival versus Valen Squadron. This is going to be great for the eye test. It's just going to be fun to watch. These guys are very talented, 5-on-5. They all sort of match up in lane. And then, of course, the implications of this match, so very important. Rival on the lower end of the standings. Valen Squadron not really impressing anybody as far as their numbers are concerned either. Both teams need a win here.
Both teams need a win, and I'm calling a Rival 2-0 here.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that because I think that they have figured out what they've been doing wrong for the past few sets, and I think they're going to come out differently and make noise.
Show your work.
Show my work. Okay. So Deathwalker, I feel like, is going to pull out something crazy.
Okay.
That's just my prediction. That's not that's a hot take.
Yeah, I'm down.
But Valence, I don't know. I feel like they have the potential to fall behind because they have gotten into a good rhythm, and they can be surprised by Rival coming out and be like, all right, we've already losing, time to go nuts.
At the same time, I think Valen Squadron operates on that same plane of existence. I think Valen Squadron also wakes up someday and just goes, you know what, we're playing Afro support today.
Yeah.
I think they also exist in that world. I guess the question is who's got the spicier roster? Who's got the secret trick up their sleeve? And you think it's going to be Rival?
I do. I think that because Rival has been losing so often, that they're kind of like ready to just pull out something crazy to get back in that groove.
Well, we'll see if it works out. Valen Squadron versus Rival, like I said. This one, really big. We'll see that a little bit later today. Last thoughts on the Obey versus Burrito matchup. Anything that you think Burrito actually has a shot at pulling out or doing there?
I don't want to necessarily say that they have a shot at pulling out something insane, but I do want to see who they lean on.
Where do they go for the win?
Yeah, where do they go? Like, what player do they put their, the team on? Like, who's back? Like, I'm very interested to see which of the 5 members that they say, okay, from now on, you're the guy.
I think it's Hi-Fi. I think it's going to be Fusify, Kespainify, that dual lane. That's where you have to look. With Obey, you're looking at EmilZy and Ataraxia, who kind of play on opposite ends of the map usually until it's team fight time. Fusify and Kespainify kind of stick together. I think it's very important for that Ganesh to make up on the side of Burrito. So you say it's going to be a 2-0 for Obey. I do as well, but you mentioned it's going to be a little bit more interesting. We'll see if that's the case. 2 commentators standing by, and special guest John Finch with Graham Hadfield.
Thank you, Tom. I think this is going to be an interesting one, too. We got Obey going up against Burrito, and we're back here with you, John Youngling Finch and Graham Hindu Man Hadfield.
That's me. That's you.
That's your full name.
It is.
I know you love it, so that's why we do it.
I don't mind it. It's just weird because nobody's done it, and now everyone's starting to use it. I'm like, okay.
It's a great name, and this is a great set. Obey.
Is it?
Obey have played. I think it is going to be a great
set?
set. You don't think so?
Oh, no.
Burrito, I think, have a chance to show up here. Yeah.
Burrito have a chance to show up every single game.
And
They
then
still
let's see them
haven't
do
done
it this game. Let's see them do it this game. Obey are sitting at what 2-0. They've only played 2 sets right so far. They got 6 points, and when they were the ones furthest behind. They haven't played any games yet.
Sure.
They only played 2. So if they get this one, they can go up to 9 points, be way up there near the top of the league. Burrito, if they can come in here, split, get a 2-0, this is a chance for them to move a little bit out of the basement
Sure.
and into that middle of the pack.
And it's a big game for them to try and win here because they need points desperately.
Yeah, they
because
do.
They've got to try and take on the big boys. The one thing that generally does happen, though, with these lower leagues versus top teams is what you find out is that the lower team always plays up.
Yes.
The top team generally plays down. So we'll see what happens in game 1. Let's go into picks and bans.
Picks and bans.
We'll find out what they're going to go with here.
Hey, man, don't you want to let me pull up the picks and bans?
You tick forever.
You're droning on. Hindu Man's droning on, and Obey's taking out
Oh.
AMC.
You want to play that game with me? I'm droning on.
Hindu Man, please. We're on Twitch TV. AMC getting banned out here. Why are we seeing this rise of AMC so far lately?
Because he's good.
Hindu Man, thanks for taking all that in-depth analysis. RDO being banned out here, Burrito, and I know Hindu Man won't talk about it now. He's proven a point, so I'm not afraid to say RDO brings a whole lot of control over there in the solo lane, even in the support role, so let's get that banned out, as well as Ganesh for Obey.
She does, and the one thing I like about what Obey did here with the Ganesh ban, it leaves so much open on the table, but Burrito did something interesting too by banning Terror. So what they've done is basically by Obey banning Ganesh, it means, okay, Burrito, you got to pick Skadi or Erlang Shen to ban. And then Burrito's like, well, you know what? We're not going to ban either of those. We're going to leave them both up so we can get one for ourselves. And obviously, Chulainn's still available too.
So Erlang Shen is that first pick for Obey. Burrito have the option now to pick up the Skadi to go along with Chulainn, and that's
There you
exactly
go. Look at you.
what they choose to do. Hey, Hindu Man, I'm up here for a reason.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that reason is we want people to watch The Caster on Wednesdays. 5 p.m.
Oh my God, you're so good. Look at you, your promos and everything.
Cernunnos being locked in for Obey as their second pick to try and match up against Skadi, likely in the duo lane. Cernunnos is someone we saw a lot of for a while, but maybe not as much recently.
It's the classic situation of a god coming out, everybody thinking he's very strong or overpowered, and
Yeah.
rightfully so sometimes. I'm not going to try and deny that. But what generally happens is that when they take a couple of nerfs, everyone's like, okay, they're just average now.
Yeah.
Or below average now. And most of the time, it doesn't mean they're bad. They're still useful and still make a big impact in the game. So Cernunnos is one of those that is just as solid in the tier role. You know, he's just in the role solidly. So he's still definitely a viable pick. And Ataraxia is one of those that likes to go for those sort of fringe picks that we don't normally see.
Obey didn't ban out Kuang.
And there was no Kamazot's pick either, which we did miss on that one, to be fair, on the picks and bans at the start, because Kamazot slipping through until counter bans is
And
very
Burrito,
surprising.
Burrito took Ao Kuang over Kamazot's there.
Yeah.
You want to talk to me a little bit about what this Ao Kuang pick is? You know, Twitch chat aside, Ao Kuang can be strong.
Johnny.
Johnny, yeah. There you
I mean, that's Johnny's go-to pick. If Johnny can get Ao Kuang, he'll go to it every time. Obey, though, they haven't got the sort of roster we saw out of them yesterday.
Right.
When they played against their opposition then, they had the AMC pick to counter with the actual anti-stealth because of the fact B's make an impact. So Ao Kuang's a little bit safer here for now, as Nemesis now picked in. But we saw what Burrito run into last time that he drafted the Ao Kuang of they're going to get invaded a lot. That's how you put the Ao Kuang behind, try and pressure in the jungle.
And it went really well when they did go and put that pressure on Ao Kuang. Sylvanus picked up over here for Obey. Likely, EmilZy going to be the one that chooses to pilot that. They also have Nemesis. We didn't even talk about Raijin, who's become so standard nowadays. That's not even surprising when we see him picked up. And then Medusa picked up as well for Burrito. So we think Medusa mid or maybe Scott.
Options for both. Probably Medusa mid, though. I think Medusa mid is going to be the easier choice overall. Just in terms of wave clear. Plus, Bluestone, obviously, with the poison spit, going to be quite useful as well for clearing the wave out. Sylvanus pick, for me, when you actually look at that, if you think about how many supports were just banned in this one game alone.
It was a lot, wasn't it?
The god pool was kind of limited, but one thing Sylvanus does bring to the table at the end of the day is fantastic wave clear. And it's still been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed because it was still so strong, but it's still so strong now in terms of wave clear. With a Raijin in tow, if those two both go to the mid lane, lots of easy pressure there. Be interesting to see what Obey choose to do at the starts, because we've seen so many different starts this weekend out of Europe.
We do see FaraKrik, though, the one that takes Medusa into the mid lane. So good call there, Hindu Man. I see why you get the big bucks. But as you said, there are a lot of different
Big
starts
bucks.
nowadays. Yeah. Hindu Man gets so many gems, you guys.
There we go. That's better.
So many
Don't call
gems.
them bucks to
We
gems.
do call them, that's big bucks.
How much are you on in terms of gems now?
Oh, they don't. They don't pay me. I'm a special guest.
Oh, you're still a special guest. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I get like a pass so I can park and everything, but that's basically it. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have to pay to park. CaptainTwig and Xaliea, though, want to park over here in the solo lane.
See what you did there, because you said park and then you segued into a park joke about the solo lane. That was really smart. Good job.
Great. Being
job.
up with Hindu Man's the best.
This is your own fault. You did this to yourself. Like, just so you know, every caster does it to themselves. I don't just pick on them for the sake of it. They put themselves in this predicament trying to be smart and then end up like FaraKrik is now, taking 3 damage for no reason.
Taking a bunch of damage, but getting good poke back on the PrettyPriMe. The stun comes out from EmilZy and keeps Fusify there. We can take some minion damage as well. But right now we're seeing both of the Guardians here starting in the middle lane. And again, we're seeing these 80 carries left alone in the duo.
But look at where Dzoni started here, at his speed buff. Dzoni recognizing playing the out Kuang, you want to try and get your buffs online for yourself and get farm. You know the big objective from Obey in the early game, with the likes of having Erlang, Shen, and Nemesis, go aggressive in the early stages where out Kuang is weakest. So try and get as much farm as you can, get denied as much farm as possible is Obey's strategy. And so far, oh my goodness me, if EmilZy hit that pull, that would have been good night, sweet Dzoni.
PrettyPriMe at least splits those Harpies with Dzoni, as FaraKrik is able to take those Harpies on the duo lane side for himself. So that's 3-1,
Yep.
those Harpies in favor of Burrito. Fusify rotating over to try and help against Ataraxia. Not able to hit that hammered sun, though.
Already, you'll see Obey have a lead because they stole blue buff on the right-hand side, and Dzoni soloed the speed buff. With the soul of the speed buff and soul of the mid wave at the start of the game, this does give them individually increased XP, but as a team, you're actually behind on experience because you're not sharing as well on the map, which means that overall, Obey get a nice easy start to the game and get themselves in good standing for the time being.
Burrito at least clean up those oracles, so that's some vision they have. A little bit more farm that they're able to get.
Collapse.
EmilZy and PrettyPriMe might be in trouble here. Dzoni and FaraKrik rotating over, but as you said, without that stun from Fusify, EmilZy able to just casually walk on through.
I mean, trees are pretty big too. They don't move very fast either. But he
But
missed
the
his
hammer is small, though.
The hammer is small, as is the dwarf, as is Sibi, as he gets sent back to this.
Sibi small, you say?
Well, I mean, when he's big when he transforms, but he was small then.
I see.
Didn't get to transform, that's why
the
he's small.
smaller form. Okay, Sibi does take a spill over there on the right-hand side, giving Obey first blood, adding a little bit more onto the lead they've already established, and CaptainTwig getting it is big.
That's the big key. CaptainTwig getting the kill. Yeah, Xaliea getting it is great for the laning phase, but giving it CaptainTwig in the early game means that you can hit level 5 quicker, as quick as possible to get ahead of Dzoni, and this just puts more pressure onto Dzoni now on the next rotation of his buffs coming up. Take into account, the speed buff was taken by Dzoni the first time round, but Obey will have the timer for next time.
Now, I like what we're seeing from EmilZy. He's going for these early game plugs, and that's what you kind of have to do on Sylvanus. It's a big way to make that pick worth it. Pulling someone out of position and setting up your team for an early kill to start establishing control on some of these buffs. So EmilZy's going to keep going for him.
And you just keep doing that over and over again. Eventually, you miss 10, but you hit 1. Okay, that one's going to make a big impact. I'll tell you that much. You're going to force beads or some sort of escape. So why don't you just keep throwing it out? You're not in a position of any aggressiveness or, punishment for you throwing out that pull. So why not just keep doing it?
Dzoni rotating over to alleviate some of the pressure Xalia's putting on this solo lane. They are able to do it and kind of giving it back up at least a little bit.
This is more farm stealing is what's going on here, actually. Because they want to leave Skadi alone against the Cernunnos on the left-hand side, which means Johnny's having to come to this right-hand side and try and steal a bit of farm from Sibi, who's also behind, and in comes CaptainTwig.
CaptainTwig rotates on the back and puts the ultimate down on Dzoni, who's forced to beads the slow from the slice and dice as well as the ultimate. So that is a big relic they got out.
Love the call from Twig there as well, because Sibi and Dzoni both just hit level 5 at the same time as he came in for the gank. So getting the beads out of Dzoni knowing the illusion was down was smart. If he tries to continue to commit, Dzoni will turn around and throw him in the air with the ultimate, which means he's not going to get anything out of it. So beads for his ultimate is worth it, and now they can look at the blue once more.
And Obey brought 4 members over here. PrettyPriMe is lurking in the back as well on Raijin. Knock up onto 2 from EmilZy. Also the root to follow up. Fusify uses his ultimate, but Sibi's the one taking a lot of damage, and PrettyPriMe lurking, ready to use those taiko drums. 2-man stun, though, coming out from Medusa.
Yeah, and that Medusa will actually stop the pressure onto Dzoni a little bit more there, because Dzoni was still in a bit of trouble because of the random bongo drums coming through a little bit more. Sorry, I should say taiko drums. I don't want to have that conversation again with F. But yeah, Dzoni being pressured a little bit more, so it means he would have been in a much worse position if FaraKrik didn't find that Petrify. But the problem is that FaraKrik's on the right, which means there's free pressure in mid lane and free farm just going to a poor old support Fusify.
that does kind of lock Fusify down here for a little while. He has to stop these minion waves from going through and at least let someone pick up this farm, and that's what Obey are doing now. They can go over and take those harpies without any kind of contest, and even go for the oracles too. So you're right, FaraKrik being forced to rotate did have a big impact on this duo lane side.
And in fairness, Fusify did the right thing there. He tried to freeze the wave as much as possible to make sure his carries could get the experience they wanted to. But in trade, it means they lose the oracles, as Obey can just clear out their own jungle, and everybody's in a fantastic position so far for Obey with a, 1,700 gold lead at 5 minutes? It's not doom and gloom at all for them.
EmilZy, when he goes back, he picks up that Mark of the Vanguard to try and slow down some of the damage. What is it that makes Mark of the Vanguard a good sort of bridge item, I guess is how he's picking it up here?
Well, also take into account the Bluestone Pendant is a tick damage, first of all, and you've got one of those on the likes of Chulainn.
Feels like almost everyone over there, right?
Well, you've got Skadi as well. She's going to be doing... Sorry, Skadi. Skadi's going to be doing it with a Permafrost because of the tick damage from that. That's going to come into play. And all that damage is reduced because of the Mark of the Vanguard passive. But not only that, it gives you some physical protection too. So helps you out when you've got a pretty physical heavy lineup here, at least outside of Dzoni.
They do force the beads out of Ataraxia, do Fusify and Kespainify, so another big cooldown. Only 149 seconds. Only 149. He's got to wait before he has a chance to use those again. EmilZy rotating over to alleviate some of that pressure, though.
And that's the reason the EmilZy's come over here. He doesn't really want to take farm from Ataraxia, but with beads being down and Fusify showing his face, they could have just zoned him off the experience. So bring the support over, clear the wave out, show presence means that it'll go back to being a safe lane for Ataraxia for a moment.
And Burrito have committed a lot in terms of vision to the right-hand side as CaptainTwig is very deep. He uses the ultimate on the Dzoni, who can no longer afford to box him. But FaraKrik and Fusify are both around. But CaptainTwig is able to run away with that speed.
Now, Twig's going to watch this because he's doing this a lot now. These back harpies, he was given... Everybody's been talking about he was the first one to really start looking for the back harpies, which are worth a lot of experience. But if you keep doing it and people are talking about you doing it, you've got to recognize teams are going to notice that. And he nearly got caught there. He gets away with it, and now Obey on the offensive once more.
There's 4 members of Obey here to try and stop this speed bump being taken. PrettyPriMe up into the air, and he puts him on to Sibi to try and pull him in. Dzoni jumps out of the way, but PrettyPriMe is the one who ends up falling. EmilZy does eventually clean up Sibi, though, but Xaliea getting caught out a little bit in that back end. EmilZy almost got the pull.
He did have beads at the same time, so Xalia's still in trouble, though, trying to run away from the entire team of Obey as we look for EmilZy, looking for his double kill. He'll find it eventually. But at the same time, did Xaliea get out? He did, you know. Turtle form to the rescue, and now Ataraxia is making a rotation to make sure that Kespainify doesn't get much more out of this, and now it's Kespainify in a lot of trouble, and Twig's there with a chop to clean it up.
Kespainify did not respect the damage coming out from Ataraxia. He just tried to walk on through back to his tower and immediately gets blown up, and CaptainTwig was there to help get that kill cleaned up. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit. We talked about what CaptainTwig, when he's back here going for these mid-harpies, how it's, people are starting to recognize it, but EmilZy rotated over and tried to help alleviate the pressure in mid so he could rotate back through as Sibi's under trouble.
He is for a second, and it's mainly his blue buff more often than not that's under trouble here, so stolen again by Obey. And this is the real win they've been finding, is that blue buff on the right-hand side, more so than anything else. Obviously, the kills have come into play, but because of all this pressure on the blue and the focus there, it means that Ataraxia is still getting a bit of time on the left, which is now turning into objective wins for them there too.
That's exactly what it does, because Kespainify has to go back to base. He pushes in the minion wave and goes and takes that purple buff. Oracles, though, at least go the way of Burrito, so they don't lose everything on this duo lane side as they come back and just take their red buff. And Fusify's hanging around, maybe was thinking about trying to do something about it or catch PrettyPriMe out, just getting some poke.
Raijin mid lane is a thing again.
Yes, it is.
AMC is a thing in competitive play. AMC coming into this split, I believe has only been played like 10 times in the entire history of professional play.
He's just not safe.
Well, he is now, clearly. Like, nothing's changed with him. I mean, yeah, he got some buffs to his damage output, but he's still not safe. But now he's in competitive play, and Raijin, who's been a meme forever, and people were saying was still bad, he's getting picked up left, right, and center, and even banned away. What a time to be alive.
Raijin at least did have some changes there to him, so he can get some early game clear that helps out with getting towards those buffs. But CaptainTwig is the one getting smacked in the face by the hammer and a little bit from FaraKrik. But that Nemesis shield is it's just great, isn't it?
I hate it. It's awful. So at one time when you're like, oh, we caught Twig. Okay, cool. What can we do to him? Deal damage. Nope. He pressed shield, and now I've lost half my health, and he's back to full health again. Well, rest in pepperonis. Instead, Twig's going to be fine, though. Level 11, now 3-level lead over Dzoni, and that's what you want. Every single time, put the Kuang behind and keep him that way.
And that has been the focus for Obey Alliance. They take those fire elementals and look at CaptainTwig, who's hanging around this right-hand side just when that speed buff is about to come back up one more time. In fact, really no one from Burrito's over there to try and stop them from making that evade. Sibi trying to rotate in. Now Fusify is coming over.
He got the pull. He pulled Dzoni, but Dzoni managed to get away straight away. We caught it just at the edge of the camera. I know for a fact EmilZy did manage to find that, but Illusion was definitely available. Fusify leaps into an awkward spot there. Where you going, son? Needs to be careful because there's a lot of free damage that he's going to get for nothing. He's trying to juke out abilities that weren't even coming through. And now he's going to turn into nothing. He disappeared.
He ends up using the ultimate there at the end of that engagement to try and transform. I don't believe it ends up going on cooldown because it's completed, dying from the wisps. Kespainify's beads were forced out by CaptainTwig, so another good win for them as they do also get that speed on the solo side as well.
Yeah, Fusify is struggling in this game. You've seen him throw out a lot of hammers that have been missed, and are not. Hammer's not the easiest ability in the world, but like that decision there to try and juke around the leap into an awkward position out of the way hurt him, and then juked around too long before ulting to get away. And in the end, he's just going to be careful now because he's falling further and behind. Not just because EmilZy's out farming him, but EmilZy's a carry now. He's 3-0-1.
Yeah, EmilZy's got all 3 of those kills. Maybe Obey didn't want all those kills going to EmilZy, but he's happy to get some extra farm. Sibi under pressure from Xaliea and CaptainTwig dead to rights on this solo side. And it's 7-1 are the kills for Obey Alliance. They've amassed a 4,000 gold lead here 11 minutes into the game.
Ataraxia's a little bit far forward here on this left-hand side, looking to contest against Skadi. Oh, he got him! I guess Kespainify was low on health. I didn't see the health bar on Kespainify there at all, but Ataraxia just walks around and goes, you know what? I'm going to kill you. And I believe Ataraxia walks on a ward to get over there. I see a ward down just near the purple buff, right by the blue one Obey's got down there. So he should have seen that coming.
Well, that's him recognizing he's 14 and Kespainify's level 11, so he's just bullying him over there in that dual lane. Now they come to the Gold Fury, and no one from Burrito is able to respond to it. This will likely go down to them for free and further extend their gold lead at 12 minutes in the game.
Yeah, nothing really that you've seen out of Obey that they've had to not necessarily try hard, but they've made two things that I've seen so far. Prime getting caught at the speed buff. He came in late to the fight, didn't realize he was getting attacked from behind and used his beads and gets caught out. Just chipped away out too quickly by being a little bit too far forward on the rotation. And then the other one was CaptainTwig at the back harpies on the right-hand side, where he's got to be a little bit more careful than that, because realistically, if it was a higher team than Burrito there, he would have died for free, especially with his escape route choice, but he had no support.
We've been talking a little bit about how these leads in the dual lane aren't always too big a deal, as Hold That Thought, Fusify goes up to the ult, and Xaliea has the sprint come out so he can try and escape. Ultimate from CaptainTwig as well onto Fusify. Fire Giant even gets pulled there and is putting in a little bit of damage. Xalia's here to try and help aggress, but PrettyPriMe gets low against FaraKrik in the back, but EmilZy's here to peel for his mid lane.
I can be your hero, Prime. That's what I just heard out of EmilZy. Xaliea, though, will get eaten by Dzoni, so there's a stack of his passive online now. Gives him a little bit more, but Sibi's still in trouble. And where did Dzoni go? Where did Dzoni just left Sibi alone? And Sibi's like, hey, hello? Friend?
Sibi still under duress from CaptainTwig, but I think he'll be able to back off for now from that rage form. But EmilZy does pull Dzoni back in. PrettyPriMe coming in over the top, and just when Dzoni got his kill, he falls in the middle lane.
And on top of that, you saw how low Sibi got, and Sibi's got to try and defend against CaptainTwig. The good news is CaptainTwig is low on mana here, but Sibi's low on everything as it stands right now, so he won't be able to do too much. No, Bay going to find a nice win. Because they find the picks in the jungle, because they find the pressure on solo, it gives them a free portal demon that they can't even stop.
Hey, dude, why did Dzoni go back to mid?
Sibi's going
got
for the
sprint
kill
to get away here, but
he had the look of a hungry jungler in his eyes. He saw Prime was around half-ish health, I think, and went, you know what, I think I can commit on this. He thought that Sibi was safe. Sibi wasn't safe, but at least Sibi lived.
Sibi did live, able to get away thanks to that sprint. And get away from CaptainTwig, who's just been putting a lot of pressure on that solo lane side. I don't know if they've gotten to see a speed buff, maybe one for Dzoni here so far. But right now, the gold lead is 7K in favor of Obey Alliance. And I was going to mention this earlier, but we talked about how that dual lane lead isn't always such a big deal if you can just hang back and farm up. But Obey are pushing the issue on every part of the map right now. Look at them going for the speed buff. So Ataraxia can be a big part of these fights when Kespainify can't.
Outside of the Gold Fury, what have we seen, like the left-hand side side pay attention to. We've seen EmilZy rotate once when we saw Beads burn on Ataraxia, and since then Ataraxia is like, you know what? This is my side of the jungle. No one's coming here. So I'm going to take every purple as much as I can away from the enemy jungle and keep the pressure up on my own and get that ridiculous experience lead that you can see is God on that left-hand side because he's not needed any help whatsoever and he's not been pressured enough to be stopped. So he's going to be more of an issue quicker than expected. That's what's going to happen. Level 16 at 14.5 minutes in. Last set we casted. Mentioning you're looking for a level of experience per minute. He's above that right now.
And we talked about this too. When he's able to force Fusify or FaraKrik to come over and try and help out a little bit, but hold that thought, EmilZy blinks in and knocks up FaraKrik. He uses the ultimate for the CC immunity, but PrettyPriMe keeps him local with those taiko drums, able to clean up the kill as CaptainTwig.
And now it's just a bad situation for Burrito again, which they end up in all the time. I really feel they should just move away from this Kuang pick unless they're going to get better lane pressure gods consistently. That's what they need to do, in my opinion. They went for the pick of Fafnir, which is a great pick, but it doesn't give you much lane pressure early on. And if you're going to run Dzoni in the jungle playing this Kuang, you need lane pressure somewhere to help you out. And Sylvanus would have been a pretty solid pick for him in terms of wave clear, especially with all the other Guardians taken off the table. But they've just not got it, and they just keep losing the jungle over and over again.
We've been talking about EmilZy here this game, sitting 3-0-4 on the Sylvanus. He's been doing a good job with those knockups, isolating targets. Even gotten a couple good pulls to bring him back in. He was looking for it just now onto Dzoni, who wisely runs away.
Lotus Crown as well is one thing you can see that he's picked up, and it's not something we've seen too often, but it's such a good item on gods that give you a tick heal because it refreshes the whole duration. EmilZy's in a bit of trouble for a second, but at level 14, it's actually Fusify, who's only level 11, that's going to take the brunt of the damage.
Fusify turns into the dragon just so that there's more of them to beat on for Obey Alliance, and that's what they do. They force him to go back to base, and they continue to make this mid lane the issue for them. Xaliea way up, almost between the tier 2, just having a good time.
He's zoning them away from the speed buff so his team can look towards the speed. 4-5-man grouping now from Obey. Not everybody here from Burrito as Fusify was still in base, now has to return. Ataraxia will find the hit on Dzoni as CaptainTwig commits on FaraKrik. Round the back, Sibi.
Sibi rotating into that fight. FaraKrik gets a stun off, which does deter some of the aggression. PrettyPriMe up in the air, but he becomes a bit of a sitting duck and takes a lot of damage himself. Fusify comes back in, but he just jumps on out. The wild hunt, though, was enough for him to clean up FaraKrik.
And now with that, Fusify's in trouble from Twig as Twig's going to heal himself up off of Sibi. Sibi will leap away to safety, but 2 quick deaths and a speed buff.
Did Burrito stick around too long just now? That's what it felt like.
It just felt like they were trying to defend as best they could, but nobody wanted to be the commitment. That's what it was. Nobody wanted to commit on their team because they all felt they were behind.
Yeah.
And so they kind of let Obey do what they want. The permafrost at Kespainify was great because they were just pinging all over the place to Obey, but nobody committed from Burrito at that moment. They could have used that as an opportunity to go aggressive. Instead, it's just Obey like, well, I guess we just keep killing you, and then we'll go take a Gold Fury after the tier 1 tower.
They end up giving up 2 kills as well as this Gold Fury, as you said. I believe they did at least defend their speed buff on that side. So, I mean, that's one thing in their favor, but they lose a lot here the rest of the map. Now Obey sitting up 10,000 gold, 14-2 are the kills, and that lead in dual lane just keeps getting it worse, it feels like. Ataraxia and EmilZy way ahead of Fusify and Kespainify, and EmilZy in particular having a big impact on these team fights.
And I said this about Burrito's play yesterday. The biggest thing I saw out of them last split was their early game was good, their mid game struggled. From mid game onwards, they struggled. Burrito, though, from what I can tell, is they've started to correct their issues in the mid game, but they've forgotten how to do the early game now. And the early game is where they're starting to fall behind consistently. And that means you can't even get to a mid game where you can actually fight effectively, you know? And if you can't get through the first 2 phases, you're never going to get to late game if you want to take on some of the best, because the best teams will take you to late game every time if they have to try and find a way.
That's what we saw Energy do just in that last set.
Yep. But
it's been very difficult for Burrito. CaptainTwig and Xaliea having a lot of pressure on this solo jungle as they take the Portal Demon. Sibi coming in to try and contest, but just not there in time.
Well, Sibi just leapt away and then turns around to re-engage with spells that they know there's a commitment coming. Ataraxia being focused and knocked up in the air. Kaldir being chased, but out of the way he's in. But look where Prime is!
He's way in the back trying to take down FaraKrik, but it's so much damage they have to back off. But FaraKrik, his ultimate coming back onto 2 members is enough for Sibi to clean up a kill, but that did not deter Obey Alliance. Ataraxia gets Sibi, and he just slides around a little bit on that ice.
And everybody's running away. Dzoni's trying to get away too, but he's going to ult EmilZy in place to try and buy him second. Not a long enough second, though, as Twig was there too. Dzoni was just hanging there the whole time like, is anyone low? Is anyone low? Is anyone low? Okay, I've got to disengage. And then he chooses a different route to his team, gets picked by a fantastic call from EmilZy there with the blink, which could set up a very quick Fire Giant.
Obey Alliance are indeed starting up this Fire Giant at 19 minutes 30 seconds. Burrito are hanging around in mid lane, but there's no way for them to come in. Look at Xaliea forming a wall there. No way you're getting past me. Ataraxia is the one that gets the final blow. Obey Alliance with the Fire Giant, now 12k up.
And now it's time for Obey to do what they know what to do, which is go and take down some free towers. So tier 1 on the right-hand side will be focused first. They could look straight for the tier 2 already. I mean, the golden experience lead is crazy right now for less than 20 minutes in. So this should be a quick tier 2 towers on the right-hand side. Unless Burrito want to try and pop up in the defense. I don't think they will, though, with how the last couple of fights have gone.
And CaptainTwig has continued to do a little bit of pushing in mid lane. He recognizes that FaraKrik is over here in this mid lane, in the dual lane, so he's rotating over to try and get some picks with the help of PrettyPriMe, while the rest of his team takes tier 2 over in right.
Well, this is Ataraxia going, guys, I am absolutely massive. So they don't even need to send the whole team, which means when Burrito are trying to find things on the left-hand side of the map, there's defenders there to catch them out, which they wouldn't have expected to be there.
Normally, you're right, that's what we see happen. I think we saw Poppies do some of that, and knowing they can't defend that tier 2, go get some farm. But as you said, CaptainTwig recognizing, I don't have to be over there, let me go clean up a couple kills, and they take down Fusify.
And Ataraxia's at full build already. Like, he's near enough finish his full build at 20 minutes in. He's also nearly level 20. Like, what a time to be a hunter right now. He's like, thanks very much, guys. You let me farm up the early game on my own. I didn't get ganked. And now I'm full build, and now I can just join the team fights and look really cool and flashy while doing it.
Continuing to split push Obey, putting pressure on mid and the dual lane tier 2 tower. Sibi, though, getting pincered by Xaliea and EmilZy. He does knock both of them up, and PrettyPriMe is up into the air. The first hit is off the mark, but he does get a little bit more damage out of it. Fusify, though, changes into the dragon and gets caught out, but is able to jump away.
Prime's not so clean today. I'm going to say that now. Like, he's done a couple of interesting choices, and that's not something you get to say from Prime. Generally, he's one of the most consistent players and mid laners in the league for sure. A little bit off his game right now, but he's not been punished. At least in game 1. We'll see what holds in game 2 if this goes on much longer, because I don't think Obey are going to let it go on too much longer with how they're playing right now.
They're playing their lead very, very well, our Obey Alliance. They're not grouping up as 5 and giving Burrito the 5-on-5 fight that would give them probably their best chance at having to have some kind of defense. They're splitting up. They're letting Ataraxia, who's a beast, push down that mid lane while they go over to the dual lane side. Dzoni trying to get some farm, but Xaliea is here. If he can get that pin off, and he does, Dzoni not able to back. He does still have his dash available, but Xaliea has so much damage. The taunt comes out to force him back in, and EmilZy and Ataraxia are looping around too.
Dzoni needed to ult earlier on there. Oh, the double back was good. The bad news is his Twig's in the jungle, so he's still in an awkward spot. Dzoni did a nice little bit of a play there, but he's still going to die. Ooh! All right, Dzoni.
Yeah, but he does end up blinking the wrong way right into PrettyPriMe, who cleans it up, no problem. He does ult him to try and get him away.
Prime was like, yo, Twig, please, just give me that kill, because I'm not having a great game right now, but I still want to go positive in this, because, you know, we know what Twitch chat's like, and will be blowing me up if I don't do well. That's what was happening there.
PrettyPriMe is now 3-2-8, thanks to Dzoni being a little too aggressive, but Burrito trying to get something back on the map. No one from Obey is around, and they were able to take away this Gold Fury. This is a strong call from Burrito.
And that was actually created by Dzoni buying as much time as possible. Yeah, he was too far forward. But all that time of the whole of Obey ended up chasing him around the jungle, trying to find, where did he go? Where's the stealth out Kuang? That actually created one small window for Burrito to go, hey, we got a Gold Fury.
So instead of being down 20,000 gold, looks like it's only 15,000 gold.
Only.
So that's good for for Burrito to take their wins on the map where they can. Now it's Obey Alliance who are looking for the actual win as they are grouping up. Kespainify might be caught out. CaptainTwig puts down the ultimate. The pin is good, but the body block from CaptainTwig is better. They take the first kill, and they're looking for more.
And this is a 3v5 or 3v4 now that Kespainify is already dead. Sibi, nice and tanky though. He is the highest level on his team. He will be able to live. And EmilZy?
EmilZy with a highlight ult over there on the left side. That's okay. They're far enough ahead. They don't really need it, right?
Yep. But that was one of those blink, but his blink was on cooldown. He tried to blink, and he forgot his blink was on cooldown. I'm not sure why his blink was on cooldown, but it was. And that's why EmilZy messed up there. But it's okay, because Ataraxia and the rest of Obey still able to continue marching on. They don't have the Fire Giant here, but still have that mana advantage for now.
And this is one of the few times where FaraKrik's ultimate wasn't quite on the mark. That's already been committed. Pin comes out to get some damage off as that left side Phoenix falls, moving towards this mid lane. Obey Alliance.
There's the blink.
There it is. Now he goes in and sets up some damage on the Fusify, but Sibi trying to move forward and make something happen. Dzoni once again in the back line, able to escape though, very safe on the Kuang.
Run, Johnny, run, Johnny, run, run, run. Here comes Obey, especially CaptainTwig. Not with a gun, with a nice couple of swords that causes sorry problems. Sibi going to commit, though. Looking to try and do a counter-attack, especially with Johnny still around the back. Johnny's actually in the fight for a second, but the Wisps are in tow, and it's Johnny being focused and chased down once again. Twig, with the speed buff, can continue to give chase here and probably catch him.
Sibi went in for the 3-man knockup, but there really wasn't any follow-up available from Kespainify or FaraKrik in that engagement. CaptainTwig, though, still keeping Johnny from being a part of this fight as the rest of Obey go ahead and take down the Portal Demon. EmilZy's here, though. Let's root him. Let's put an end to this. EmilZy laughing despite that ult earlier. He knows he helped set up a kill.
I know, when they laugh spam, I don't mind it too much, but when you laugh spam, you made mistakes earlier on, you're like, you shouldn't be doing that. You've made mistakes yourself. One thing that Johnny should have done then. Last time around when he got caught, his team got a goal for you. If he would have gone to the left-hand side of the map, there's a small chance Burrito might have been able to sneak a Fire Giant on the Portal Demon. Instead, he leads Obey towards the glorious Fire Giant that had just respawned, which means they're further behind. And I think with that, yeah, no surprise, F6 comes out from Burrito, realizing they can't do much more.
Yeah, Burrito recognized that the Fire Giant is on the side of Obey Alliance, and the end was nigh. They instead go ahead and F6. It's a 2-game set, so they got one more chance to try and get something else from Obey here and get a split.
So Burrito needs to go back into picks and bans now and actually look back and go, okay, let's focus on early game. Let's just get it through the early game, get to a mid game in an even standard, and then go from there. Because they've been so it feels like they're so focused on mid to late game compositions now, and getting through that point, they've forgotten about their early game, and it's hurting them too much.
And they gave too much pressure to CaptainTwig and Xaliea over there in that solo lane side of the map, as we do have